All right, we'll go back on the record. We're outside the presence of the jury. Everyone that's supposed to be here is here. Before we bring the jury in, there's a couple things I want to put on the record. I noticed Mr. Hurley played the 2911 calls. Just for the benefit of counsel, we will not be taking down the contents of any recording by the court reporter. If you wish to make a record at some point, you can substitute a transcript for the record. Otherwise, the recording itself will be the only evidence. It's my understanding now that the state exhibits will start with 1 and the defense exhibits will start with 200. And we'll go from there. I'd like everyone to use the podium when they address the witnesses and stand by the microphone. And finally, I will, during each period between, try to see if you can estimate about how long your witness is going to be for the next break, so I don't have to try to cut you off in the middle of something. So, Mr. Grinke, with your first witness or two or whatever, what do you anticipate for our break time?
The first witness will be playing a video about 20 minutes, so 20 minutes to a half hour for his direct.
Well, that's fine. If we do that, then your cross probably won't take much more than that, so that'd be about an hour. I'll probably take a break after that one then and see what the next one will be. Okay? Anything either side wants to put on the record before we bring the jury in?
No, sir. No.
No? Okay. Bring their writing equipment with them. You may all be seated. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll now start the presentation of the state's case. Mr. Grinke, you can call your first witness.
State will call Officer Wicklund.
Under penalty of perjury, you solemnly, sincerely, and truly declare and affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this matter shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Could you state your name?
Lance Brian Leffelholz
How are you employed?
with the West Salem Police Department.
How long have you been with the West Salem Police Department?
Been working on it for 27 years.
Directing your attention to September 16th of 2016, were you on duty that day?
Yes, I was.
At about 8 o'clock in the morning, where were you that day?
I was at the PD.
At the police department in West Salem?
Yes.
Did you receive a call to go to a motor accident scene?
Yes, I did. I received a call. I was dispatched to assist the county on an accident.
And what time was that?
I believe I was dispatched at 8:11.
Were you the first officer that arrived on the scene?
Yes, I was the first officer.
Where was that?
On Bergen Coulee, just off of County M.
Is that in the county of La Crosse?
Yes.
Is that in your jurisdiction?
No, it is not.
What was your responsibility then if it was outside your jurisdiction?
To assist the county with whatever they needed at the time, traffic control or whatever was needed till they got there.
What did you see upon your arrival?
Upon my arrival there, I parked behind the first responder van and walked up and observed a gray car, parked up on the road, half in the ditch, and then I observed a female lying on the ground, male, white, standing at her feet, and then first responder performing CPR on her.
What did you do?
I asked what I could do, and the first responder asked that I take the male half away from the scene.
Do you know why that was?
At this point, I believe that just for distraction purposes, so that the first responder people could do their job.
And who was that excuse me, who was that person that you moved away?
When I got him back to the front of the first responder van, we did ID him as Todd Kendhammer.
And do you see that person in the courtroom today?
Yes, I do.
Can you tell me where he's seated and what he's wearing?
He's seated third person there in a white shirt.
Ask record to reflect identification.
It will.
Was your squad video operating that day?
Yes, it was.
Your Honor, the parties are agreeing to the West Salem squad video will be exhibit number 11, and we'd like to play that for the jury now.
So you wish to offer that?
Yes.
Any objection?
No, sir.
Any objection to publishing it?
Nope.
It'll be received, then it may be published.
So Mr. Leffelholz, the video will be playing behind you. What's the video showing right now?
That'll be our police department garage.
Just 1 second. Officer Leffelos, make sure you use the microphone so everyone can hear you in the courtroom as you're speaking. Thank you.
And we're going to play for a little bit. We're then going to move it ahead a little bit because the drive out there, there's nothing happening, so we'll kind of speed it ahead a little bit. That's fine. The video that's now playing appears that the roads were wet.
Yes, they were.
Was it raining that morning?
It was a light drizzle. It was raining.
If you want to move it ahead to... Can you describe what route the car is traveling on?
This would be northbound on County M.
Is it right now on Bergen Cooley Road?
Yes. Something blew up.
Confirming code in progress. Come on, Bob. Copy, code in progress. I did it harder. Was that bad?
No,
Was bad? I know CPR first aid. Come on, Barb.
take him.
Take him. Sir, come on over with me, okay?
Go at the officer, sir.
Come with me. Who is this?
My wife.
It's your wife? Okay. What happened? Do you know what happened? Okay.
There's a pipe.
Okay. Come up here by the thing. Okay.
It'll be all right.
I don't know. Okay. Let first responders and stay right here. Okay. There's a pipe in the ground.
No, it come out of that tree off a truck.
Of a truck.
A truck or a trailer or something. I think it was a truck with a flatbed on it.
And the truck just kept going.
I don't know if he fell asleep.
I didn't see what. Okay. Were you in the car with her?
I was driving.
Okay. All right. Stay right here. Okay.
Is she right?
I don't know. Let first responders and everybody deal with them. Okay.
I tried to catch it.
Catch the pipe.
I tried to see it. I hit it. I went to hit it, but the windshield got me.
It came across the windshield.
It came through the windshield.
Okay. Just stay right here.
Oh my God. We gotta hurry. She's not good. She's spitting blood out of her mouth.
They're dealing with her. Okay. They're dealing. Let them deal with it. Okay. His first name is Todd, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, Todd. Let them do what they can. Okay. You were driving. She was in the passenger seat, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Just stay right here with me, okay?
I gotta go with her. Gotta go with her.
Well, if she goes to the hospital, we'll see if you can go with her, okay?
I will.
Okay? All right. Stay right here, okay? Just stay right here. .604, I got a 28 for you.
Go ahead.
323 Henry Union Sam. 323 Henry Union Sam.
That's where.
Where did the pipe go?
I got her out here on the road. And I was so fucking freaked out. I didn't know it was this bad. I turned and she started flopping and flailing. And so I went quick to turn around and I don't know what happened.
Okay.
I got her out of the car and I seen she bleed out of her mouth, so I started doing CPR.
Where were you guys headed?
Trying to take her to work. And I gotta go pick up a windshield. I gotta put a windshield in a car.
Well,
I wasn't going up to see the way there because we went last time it wasn't.
just hang tight.
CPR.
Why don't you just lean against here, okay? Just lean. You start. Okay, Todd, listen to me. Through the nose, deep breaths. You're starting to hyperventilate, okay? Through the nose. Out the mouth, slow. Slow down. Through the nose, out the mouth. Through the nose, out the mouth. Let them work with her, okay? Through the nose, out the mouth. Slow down. Where were you traveling when this pipe came through the window?
Right here.
You were turning into here?
No, I was coming up the highway.
So you were heading northbound on M and going to turn into here.
Yep. And I just glanced and seen it. I didn't get it in time.
Okay.
I looked up and bullshit and talking, and I looked up to see the vehicle coming.
Okay. The county guy comes here, he'll take over, and then I'm going to go look for that pipe, okay?
I pulled it out of the windshield.
You pulled it out of the windshield?
It's sitting right beside the car.
Okay. Wait for this.
I gotta see if she's okay.
Well, just wait. Let them do their work, okay? Let them do their work. Let them do their work. Hang on right here. Mike, this is Todd Kendhammer. He was driving the car. He said he was coming up M. A pipe fell off a vehicle or a trailer, went through the window and hit her in the head or somewhere in that area. So I'm going to go look for the pipe.
I got it.
It's in?
It was in the windshield.
It was in the windshield? So
It's sitting by the car.
okay. This is his, the wife is over here. This is the husband. He was driving. Said there was no outside the car. I'm gonna. I'll wait till they leave. He said a pipe came through the window. Pipe. There is a hole over there. Oops. Sorry. Yeah, don't touch it, but is it laying there? Yeah.
130.
Okay. Just leave it at that.
Dispatch to 130.
604, go ahead for him.
104 is requesting that he give him a phone call.
10-4.
By the time I got stopped, I was rolling trying to get to the tank where it didn't hurt. And I ended up hitting in the ditch, and that's where I ended up.
104 would like a phone call from you. There is a pipe laying over here. Yep.
Is she okay or not?
I don't know, Todd. I'm not going to give you any false hope, okay? They're working on her.
130, 104, just give me a couple seconds. 130 to 128. 128, go ahead. I need you to go grab your camera again and start taking pictures.
What's your wife's name?
Barbara.
Barbara? You live down in here?
No, we live out in Scotch.
Okay. So you just turned down here after the pipe came in the window?
I turned in real quick to get the pipe. She was failing. And I turned in real quick. And I reached over to get the pipe out. And I ended up trying to get the pipe out. And I was trying to help her. And I got to here. I got to stop. And I hit it in reverse and back into there. And I got her out quick.
You know what type, if any? I know you got 101 things going through your mind, but was it a truck with a trailer?
It looked like a flatbed.
A flatbed?
Like an older flatbed.
Truck?
Yeah, it was an older truck.
Okay, and was heading northbound too? It was heading west, southbound, okay.
I don't see nothing up there.
Well, they're still working on her. The pipe is in the grass right behind the car there, okay? Was that your cell phone laying on the ground?
Yeah.
Okay. The cell phone is his laying on the ground by the pipe.
128.
Do you need any medical attention? We'll have him check you before you go. Okay, okay. Okay. Stay right here. Let him do. If
So dry.
128. 128, go up. I just got a motor assist up at 53 and T. Broke down, out of traffic. No preference on a record. Just want to pick a record and have me start heading up that way.
Just wait. Let's just get.
It says 53, go with Paul.
No, not right now. Okay, not while they're working on her. Okay. You want to sit down? Okay, otherwise I'd let you sit just in the back and, leave the door open. You can sit in the squad. Yep. Well, just wait, just wait. Stay right here, okay? Husband wants to know if he can ride with you guys down.
No.
No. Okay. Tri-State said they do not want you to ride down there with them. We'll get you down to the hospital. What hospital is she going to? What do you use?
Lutheran.
Okay. We'll get you down there. Okay. Come on up here. Come on, Todd. Tri-State said they do not want him to ride down with them, so he needs to go down to Lutheran with him. Gunderson Lutheran is the choice. Her purse is in the back seat if you want to see if there's a DL. Did I say that? Gunderson Lutheran, right? Was trans?
Yes.
You okay?
Just hang tight here. Let me talk to them.
Okay. Well, we'll get you down there, okay? We'll get you down to Gunderson. But there's just going to be so much going on inside there, there isn't going to be room for you in there, okay?
Say goodbye. I'm through with it, please.
If they won't allow you in there, I can't force them to let you be in there, but we'll get you down there, okay? Todd, I can't.
Is she okay?
I can't tell you that. I don't know. I'm not over there. Why don't you stay right here? We'll just stay right here. I know this is hard, but I can't let you in there right now, okay? They're working on her. This is the driver. If you stay with him, I got some questions to ask over, okay? This is Todd.
You got somebody with him?
No, he has a coat.
Scranton's not with him? Wicklund's by himself right now.
He wants to know if he can at least come over and say goodbye. She's not making it. Because the pipe is there. He said the truck was going this way. It was an older flatbed. It came off the flatbed truck and went right through the windshield. He said he tried to deflect it, but he couldn't, and it hit her in the head, and she just started flailing all over.
Does this look normal to you?
Well, he said he backed up because he was such a panic. But there's a hole. Is this normal? No. But I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, what did he say to you?
That he was driving her to work, coming up north, and this older flatbed truck was coming this direction. Pipe came off, went through the windshield, hit her. He turned in here to try to help with her, and the truck kept going. West Salem Police, this is Lance. Yeah. No, I'm out on a real bad accident out here on Ammonberg and Cooley. Maybe, what? Yep, all right, bye. They're putting her in. They're putting her in the ambulance. And they're going to take her down to Lutheran, correct? That's where you doctor at?
That's my doctor.
Okay.
I think I do. There's
No, they won't. They will not let you drive in there. That's what the driver said. Yes. Yes, I know Todd.
He looks familiar to me, but I don't know why.
Kendhammer's the one, Brandon Kendhammer works for us. I think it's a cousin or an uncle.
She works at the school.
She works, Barb works at the school.
In West Salem?
Yep.
Yep. Can you grab that clipboard for me, please?
That's what he's saying, a pipe came through. What do you want me to do then here? You want me to go up and help him, or do you want me to take Todd down to...
No, we'll take him down there.
Okay.
3111. Go ahead. You need to come down by your guy down here.
We'll get him the right down there.
Okay.
I'll have the new guy.
No. They can just leave the car there if they need to and both come walking down.
If you could just stay with him, so Jordan. I want to talk to Jordan for a minute. If you could just stay with Adam.
Okay. Okay.
I tried to stop it up, but I didn't reverse, and that's when we got. And I pulled her out, but I tried doing CPR, and then I saw my phone and called it.
You tried to stop it, and put it in reverse.
I stopped, but then I ended up in reverse. She was flailing, and the pipe was hitting her. I pulled the pipe out and stopped.
Does she still work at the school?
Yeah.
As a cook, right? Okay, so you were taking her to work?
No.
No?
Yeah, I was going to take her to work.
But why were you going northbound?
I was going to pick up a vehicle to put a windshield in.
And then oh, she would pick up the vehicle and then she was going to go to work.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
So you were going north,
I was heading north, yeah.
and the truck was heading south. Are you going to the hospital?
I won't be going to the hospital.
know.
somebody take
Well,
Who's in the truck?
one of our guys and the first.
I can take the chief's truck down too.
You can do it?
Yeah, I'm not working today, so.
Well, when we're done here, I mean, if you don't have enough room, I can go get the first responder, but
No, I can go get
well, the first responder's going, but he's leaving his.
We're going to take the rig back.
Okay, all right. As soon as they let go, if you don't have enough room, just let me know, and I can scoot down and get somebody too.
Well, we got plenty of room.
Okay, all right.
We'll just put him in the back of the truck.
Okay. Okay.
I've done bath on my life. I just keep doing it inside. My wife and I, she has to set them.
They're going to get you down to Gunderson Lutheran, okay?
Quit following them?
They'll, as soon as they're done talking over here, they'll get you down there, okay? The sergeant said he'll get you down there. They're just going to get down here and get turned around, and then they're going to be on their way. You probably, once you get down there, they're probably not going to let you get into the emergency room with them anyway. You're going to be sitting outside in the waiting room, okay?
Sergeant will make sure that you get down there. Check inside here, okay? I got to check.
Yep. Hang on. I know you got a lot going here. As soon as the sergeant's done talking, they'll get you down there, okay?
Truck 28. Wisconsin Farm Truck 211033F Frank. Just hold that for now. Where should that be on that? Oh. 10-4.
Just stay right here, okay? I know. You want to move. They'll get you down there, okay? Are you guys taking them down? Okay, just hang on for just 1 second, okay? You want him to take pictures of Todd, his hands and everything before he takes off? Yes. Okay. Take pictures of Todd, his front, all the blood, his knuckles, everything. You guys,
No need for us to be.
Yep, you guys can take off. Like I said, if you don't got enough room or you need somebody, I can go.
We got plenty of room.
Okay, otherwise I can go down and get them. Thank you guys for coming out.
I didn't hit anything in this part. You hit this side of the ship on me.
Never know.
Your Honor, there's no timestamp on this video, but the record should show we stopped it when Mr. Kendhammer walked out of the picture, out of the frame of the squad video.
Very well.
If you can darken the screen for a second. Officer Levelholtz, did you ever have to restrain Mr. Kendhammer physically?
No.
Was he cooperative with you?
Yes.
He appeared in the video to be emotional. Was he upset?
Yes, very. He was distraught.
On the squad video, there was a point where some pictures were taken of Mr. Kendhammer. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Now, the parties have stipulated that exhibits 12, 13, and 14 can be admitted and published to the jury.
Is that correct?
It is correct.
Those will be received then, and you may publish those.
And what's projected on the screen now has been marked as Exhibit 12. Can you describe what we see in that photo?
This would be Mr. Kendhammer out on the scene.
And is that how he appeared to you at the scene?
Yes.
Exhibit number 13 is now being displayed. Can you describe what we see there?
That would be Mr. Kendhammer's hands, back of his hands.
And is that how they appeared to you at the scene?
Yes.
And exhibit 14 is now being displayed. Can you describe what we're seeing there?
That would be Mr. Kendhammer's right back of his leg.
On the squad video, you can darken that now. On the squad video, it looked like at one point you walked down into the ditch or the shoulder, the side of the road.
Yes.
Can you describe what was that ditch like? How deep was that shoulder of the road?
It was right from the road. It was, you could tell when I walked down, it was a sharp dip down into the off the road.
And you, on the video, it sounded like you saw the pipe lying in the grass.
Yes, it was lying in the back.
Did anybody touch it when you were there?
No.
Did you get close enough to touch it or see it, really?
I got close enough to see it, but I did not touch it.
Okay. That's all I have from this witness, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Grinke. Mr. Hurley, or?
Yes.
Mr. Hurley, do you have any questions?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Should I address you as officer?
That's fine.
Okay. What's better?
You could, makes no difference. Lance.
I don't want to promote or demote you. So.
No, that's fine. You can call me Lance if it'll be easier.
Okay. Officer, do you know for how long it had been raining that day?
I believe my shift started at 6 o'clock in the morning, and it was drizzling at that point.
Okay. And it was a constant drizzle, was it not?
Yes.
That's why we saw the wipers going on.
Correct.
And when you were driving there and you arrived, did you notice that the lights, the headlights of the Kendhammer vehicle were still on?
That I do not recall, no.
Were your lights on?
Yes.
At one point on the tape, I heard you mention calling in a vehicle number.
Yes.
Do you recall that?
That would be the plate off Mr. Kendhammer's car.
Okay. At some point, did you notice a vehicle across the road?
On Burgum Cooley, or where are you referring to?
Well, across Highway M,
Yes.
there's a farm, is there not?
Yes. Or there's a driveway or a home. Yes.
Driveway that leads to a home that may appear to be a farm.
Okay.
And did you have occasion at that time to notice a truck across Highway M?
Yes, I did.
And you noticed that it was a truck with no tailgate on it, is that correct?
I believe so, yes.
And did you talk to somebody about calling in about that truck?
No, that was called in by a county deputy.
By a county deputy?
Yes.
You said this was out of your jurisdiction, actually.
Correct.
And so when you were done at the scene, you had nothing further to do with the investigation?
Correct.
Did you know Todd or Barbara Kendhammer prior to this date?
I'm sorry, I didn't quite.
Prior to the accident on Burgum Cooley to which you responded, had you known either Barbara Kendhammer or Todd Kendhammer?
I wasn't real familiar with Barbara at all, but I'd known Todd just through some contacts while in the village doing my patrol or off duty.
And I want to ask you a couple questions about at least your training. When you respond to a scene like this, it's your job to try to get as much information as possible. Is that correct?
Correct.
And in this case, you come upon Mr. Kendhammer, who you said was emotional and distraught.
Correct.
And I noted that at one point when you were talking to him, you told him he was hyperventilating and he should breathe through his nose.
Correct.
And then right after that, you start questioning him about the vehicle. Correct? So would you agree that when someone's hyperventilating, it's not exactly the best time to question someone? Correct?
Probably not, no.
But it's your job.
Correct.
So you did, correct?
Correct.
And when he first responded to your questions that day about what occurred, he told you that he saw this thing, this pipe coming at the vehicle, and he thought it came off a truck. Is that correct?
A truck or a trailer at first.
Truck
yes.
or a trailer. He didn't know which.
Correct.
And then you asked him more questions, but he was fairly consistent throughout that all he could say was it was a truck or a trailer, maybe an older flatbed.
Correct.
I noted the number of times that he asked you about whether his wife was all right, whether he could go to his wife, whether he could be with his wife. You recall all of those instances from the tape?
Correct.
If I told you to add it up to 21 times, would that comport with your recollection?
I would have to agree with you because I didn't count it myself, no.
At one point, you pointed out to someone that I think you said her purse is in the back seat if you want to see if there's a DL.
Correct.
And by DL, you were referring to driver's license.
Correct.
To whom were you saying that?
I believe that was to one of the deputies.
And did that deputy go into the back seat to get the purse?
That I do not know.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Greinke, do you have any further questions of Officer Leffelholz?
No, Your Honor.
Hey, at this time, does any juror have any question you'd like to have asked of Officer Leffelholz? I see no hands. Right, Officer Leffelholz, you may step down.
Thank you.
Wish to do a recess now or another witness?
The next witness is relatively short.
That's fine. Call your next witness.
perjury, do you solemnly, sincerely, and truly declare and affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this matter shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Could you state your name?
Brandon Hauser.
How are you employed right now, Mr. Hauser?
I am a non-emergent medical transport for Richwood Transport.
Directing your attention back to September of last year, 2016, were you working in West Salem at the time?
Yes.
In what capacity?
I was a volunteer first responder for the West Salem First Responders.
How long had you been working as a first responder at that point?
Approximately 3 years.
On September 16th, a Friday morning of 2017, were you sent to Bergen Cooley Road?
Yes, I was.
Were you the first responder?
Yes.
When you arrived, before you arrived, did you first drive past the road?
Yes.
Do you know how far past the road you went before you had to turn around?
A block, maybe a block and a half.
Did you miss the road, or did you not see a car in a ditch at that time?
I did not see the car, and I misinterpreted the initial page that came out for the first responders. I thought it was on County Road M, not on Bergen Cooley.
When you went down Bergen Cooley Road, what did you see?
I saw a vehicle in the ditch with the front of the car facing out of the ditch.
Did you walk towards the car?
Yes.
When you walked towards the car, what did you see?
I saw a female on the ground with a male at the feet of the female.
And the male at the feet, was he standing, kneeling, sitting?
He was in a crouched position.
Was he performing CPR at that time?
He was not.
That's fine. Your other parties have stipulated that Exhibit 15 can be admitted and published.
Is that correct? Yes. Okay, I'll receive Exhibit 15 and you may publish it.
Mr. Hauser, what's being shown as Exhibit 15, can you tell us what we're seeing in that photo?
This is the vehicle in the ditch with the passenger, the female passenger on the passenger side, laying with her head towards the road and the front of the car.
Is that something you drew or somebody drew for you?
I do that.
And you said that the male individual was at her feet towards the rear of the car?
Yes.
What did you do next?
I checked for a pulse on the female because I was told that CPR was in progress, and I found no pulse. I did a head-to-toe exam on her, see if anything else is wrong, and I asked for the husband's help to move her up the bank.
Did that happen?
Yes.
Do you remember how far up the bank you had to move her?
About 5 feet.
And where was her final resting place?
Just about to the head of the car, front, perpendicular with the car.
Why did you have to move her?
It would have been very difficult to perform CPR where she was. It was about a 35-degree angle, very difficult to kneel.
And you said there was no pulse?
No.
Did you notice any other injuries around her face or head?
There was blood around the nose and mouth. I noticed there was bruising on both sides of her cervical area.
And how did you see that? You had to take her shirt off?
Yes, I cut her shirt as well as her bra off.
Then while you were doing CPR, what happened next?
I instructed Mr. Kendhammer to turn the car off. It was still running at this time. And then Officer Leffelholtz came on scene, and I asked him to remove Mr. Kendhammer so he did not have to see what was going on.
Did he turn the car off? Did that happen?
Yes.
Were you able to get a pulse?
After Tri-State arrived and we administered medications, yes.
Do you know how long you did CPR for?
I don't know it off the top of my head.
That's all I have from this witness.
Thank you, Mr. Grinke. Nardic?
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Hauser. You told us just a moment ago that as you arrived, you noticed Todd Kendhammer near the vehicle and near Barbara Kendhammer, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
He was yelling for you, was he not?
Yes.
Sort of over here, or what was being said?
Something to that effect. He's calling for me.
He was being fairly dramatic in his efforts to gather your attention.
Yes.
And that would be logical in that you traveled beyond Burgum Coulee Road in an effort to find the scene, yes?
Yes.
So Todd was animated when you arrived.
Yes.
So it would be also logical to deduce that his animations in gathering your attention would cause him to cease doing CPR had he been doing it prior to your arrival.
Yes.
In fact, it's also your understanding that he was indeed doing CPR prior to your arrival.
That's what I was told by dispatch.
You told the jury just a moment ago that the position that Barbara Kendhammer was in was not conducive to you doing the medical care that you deemed necessary.
Yes.
So you asked for Todd's assistance in relocating Barbara's body, right?
Yes.
And you told us that it was sort of up a steep bank.
Yes.
About 5 feet from where she was when you arrived.
Yes.
How did you move her with Todd? Can you describe for the jury how that happened?
I had her under her upper body and by her belt, or by her belt loops. I can't remember if she had a belt or not, I'm sorry. And he had her feet, and we moved her up the bank.
Do you know that Todd Kendhammer had moved her out of the vehicle before your arrival?
A reasonable deduction, yes.
And do you know if the 911 dispatchers had requested that she be moved as well?
I can't say.
Okay, it may have happened, you don't know.
Yes.
When we speak of emergencies, this is an emergency, yes?
Yes.
Capital E. Yes?
Yes.
Was it obvious to you, at least at first blush, the gravity of the injuries that Ms. Kendhammer had suffered?
Yes.
Your focus was on what you are trained to do, which is to provide medical care, correct?
Yes.
In doing that, you cut her shirt off?
Yes.
Was there an undershirt as well?
I don't believe so.
Okay. Whatever was covering her chest area, you removed it rather quickly, I presume.
Yes.
You were not looking for any bits of glass or anything like that on the shirt. You were trying to get it off.
Yes.
And you did so rather quickly.
Yes.
What was Todd Kendhammer's demeanor through this process?
After I arrived on scene, he was still very frantic. He was able to help me. After the first officer arrived on scene, I asked that he be removed.
Did he appear concerned to you?
Yes.
When you arrived at the scene, you told us a minute ago that deduction suggests that Todd Kendhammer had removed Barbara Kendhammer from the vehicle on his own initiative. There were the only two there. Yes? I'm sorry, yes?
Yes.
Did you know that Todd had fallen backwards with Barbara in his arms before you got there to land on the ground where you located them?
I did not.
I have no other questions.
Okay. Mr. Green, anything else? No, Your Honor. All right, at this point, does any juror have a question of Mr. Hauser? Okay, I see no hands. Mr. Hauser, thank you. You may step down. Thank you. Wish to begin another witness?
Well, the next witness, we're playing another audio, so.
Okay. Okay, we'll take a short break so you don't sit in here too long. When you step out, don't talk about the case. You can talk about other things, and we'll probably be out for about 10 minutes or so. Y'all be seated. Thanks. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Grinke, you ready to call your next witness?
Yes, state call Adam Wicklund.
Under penalty of perjury, do solemnly, sincerely, and truly declare and affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this matter shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Okay, the record.
Could you state your name?
Adam Wicklund.
How are you currently employed?
I currently work for Gunderson Health System
In what capacity?
as a security officer.
In September of 2016, where were you working then?
I was working for the La Crosse County Sheriff's Department.
Could you sit a little closer to the mic?
Sure. For the La Crosse County Sheriff's Department.
As of September of that year, how long have you been with the Sheriff's Department?
Around 4 months.
Were you still on some probationary period?
Yep. I was still on my field training.
Field training?
Yep.
Direct your attention to September 16th of 2016, where you dispatched to Bergen Coulee Road in County M.
I was.
When you arrived, were you assigned any duties?
Not specifically assigned any duties, no. I was the fourth law enforcement officer at the scene, and fire and EMS had already gotten there as well.
While you were there, did you speak with somebody named Todd Kendhammer?
Yes, I did.
Was there any specific purpose in speaking to him?
To gather information on what was going on. Like I said, I was the fourth person there. I wasn't really sure what the whole situation was, other than there was a crash with injuries.
And when you spoke to him, was your squad video operating?
Yes, it was.
There's part of the squad video that captures conversation, and part does not. Can you explain what happened?
I would say that the part that is not covered by my squad video, I was probably out of range. It has a limited range for reception.
Squad video microphone has limited range to what can get picked up?
Correct.
When you first talked to him, did you observe anything about him?
He appeared nervous, upset about what was going on, had some blood on his shirt and some scratches or cuts on his knuckles.
What did he tell you happened?
He told me that he was traveling north on County Highway M, and a flatbed truck was traveling south, and a length of pipe had come off of the truck traveling south and come through the windshield and struck his wife. Struck his wife.
Was he able to give you any further description of the flatbed?
No.
Did he say where they were going?
He said they were going to Holman.
Did he say why they were going to Holman?
To pick up a vehicle.
Did he say anything about how he ended up in the ditch on Bergen Coulee Road?
Just that he meant to put it in park and ended up putting the vehicle in reverse, I believe.
Did he say anything about What happened to Barbara after she was struck by the pipe?
He said after she was struck by the pipe, she was flailing around.
Other than those facts, was there anything else that you can remember him telling you?
Those would be the most pertinent facts that I can remember.
Did you then place him in your squad car?
Yes, I did.
And that's a conversation that was picked up by the squad video audio?
Correct.
And what was your purpose in putting him in the squad car?
To keep him close by. People that are excited in those situations for one reason or another, whether they're upset, sometimes people walk away. Just trying to allow everyone to get their jobs done, EMS, fire, and that sort of thing. Also to gather pertinent personal information, gather his name, phone number, and his wife's name and phone number, and that sort of thing.
Did he ever be physically restrained in any way?
Not that I recall.
Was he cooperative with you?
Yes, he was.
I think the parties have stipulated that Exhibit 16 is a squad video of Adam Wicklund that can be played.
That's correct.
All right, so I'll receive that, and you can publish that.
I can say there's nothing to see, but we're going to be listening to audio.
Is somebody going down by her? I'm sorry to be such a...
No. I only know as much as you know, Todd. I've been with you the whole time, right?
Okay.
So I know what you know.
So nobody's going to be there when she gets there?
I don't know.
She's really...
There's going to be the staff, there's going to be the nurses and the doctors. And
She won't know anybody.
She's the best place she could be right
Okay.
now.
I'm always with her, though.
Yep.
I can't... She's okay.
Do you know what Jessica's phone number is offhand or no? No? Okay.
One of them is 5347, I just thought of.
You don't know who this is, though?
I think that's Jordan's. I can't...
5347?
Jessica can't answer at work.
She can't? Okay.
No.
Does Jessica have a husband?
Yes.
What's his first name?
Michael.
What's Michael's middle name?
So, I don't know.
You don't know?
No, I don't know.
Where does he work at?
Bernie Buckner.
What's that?
Bernie Buckner.
Bernie Buckner?
Oh, my God. Just...
What does he do there?
He's a plumber. Apprentice plumber.
Okay.
Do you have anything to drink?
I don't have anything with me here. I'm sorry.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. I'm passed out doing CPR. I don't know how to do it great. I hope I did it great.
Anything you can do is good.
That's what they taught me.
Anything you can do.
Keep the lungs moving and the blood moving.
That's right.
I hope I helped her. What, just asking, what are we waiting for now?
And we'll come back to the car and let
Okay.
you know. He's the one telling me what to do right now.
All right. Okay, I'm sorry.
No, you're okay.
I just want to be done. Bye.
I know you do. I know you do. You're not doing anything wrong.
got glass in my hand.
You got glass in your hand? Okay.
It's not nothing. It's nothing. I just want to get down my barb if I can. I should have called the kids.
You did what you were supposed to do and called 911. You did exactly what you were supposed to do.
I couldn't find my...
They're gonna send a city car to go get Jessica, right?
Why?
It's your daughter,
She
daughter
can't-
Jessica?
Yeah.
They're gonna have a city car go and get her, okay?
She can't drive?
Well, they're just gonna have somebody go and get her, make sure that she gets there.
I need to know if she's okay.
I know just what you know. I've been here with you the whole time, haven't I? I've been here with you.
I'm worried now. I'm nervous.
Anybody would be in the same situation.
Don't know why they wouldn't go with her.
They got to make sure that the paramedics and the firemen can do their job.
I've learned that before with my mother-in-law and my dad. Are they at the hospital yet, or don't you know?
I don't know.
All right.
What was your son's first name again?
Jordan,
Jordan, what's he going to school for?
environmental law enforcement.
Environmental law enforcement. Where's he go for?
What's that?
Where does he go at?
Stevens Point.
Stevens Point. So he wants to be a game warden?
Yep.
Okay. Good for him. Jessica likes animals, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
She's an animal freak.
Do you guys have animals at home?
We just have 2 donkeys
Dogs? Where are they?
and a beagle.
What are your pups' names?
What?
What are your dogs' names?
We just have one. It's a beagle. It's Susie.
Susie the Beagle, huh?
Uh,
That's a good beagle name. You always have animals at home?
we always did. Yep. We used to have more
Do you have
dogs.
anything besides dogs?
What?
Do you have anything besides dogs?
Just the donkeys.
Dogs?
Oh, that's coming.
Another one of my partners.
Why do we have so many years? You okay?
I know only what you know right now.
What's the channel News 8 doing?
Pardon me?
What's News 8 doing?
They probably heard the call from scanner because they have a scanner, like police scanner like we have.
So nothing's bad.
What's that?
Nothing's bad, right?
I only know what you know.
You must know something. You got a radio.
You've been hearing the radio the whole time I have. I haven't heard anything, one way or the other.
We need to get down so I can see her. I should have stayed on the road. Is it right to pull off, or should I have stayed out there?
I would have pulled off if I was in your situation.
I didn't know it was bad. Everybody knows too.
Are you warm enough back there?
I'm hot.
Are you hot?
I'm okay.
Okay, do you want me to turn on the air conditioning for you?
No.
No? Okay.
I maybe should get out pretty soon or something.
You Alexander sick?
No, but we gotta. I just can't sit here anymore.
We can't go until our sergeant gives us the okay, and when we get the okay, then we'll go.
All right, they're gonna be with you in a little bit, okay, Todd? We'll get you going on.
Did my kids know?
They're gonna go get your daughter. One of us will go pick up your son. Okay. He's at home, you said?
Yeah, he's sleeping.
Okay. Do you have any dogs or anything?
No, just a beagle and a pen.
Okay. So,
What?
will he be able to hear the door if we get there?
I don't know. I doubt it. He's downstairs with the fan on. He's got to work at 11. What time is it?
9 o'clock. Okay. So,
I was gonna be home by 9 to put a tree stand together with him.
okay. Well, we'll.
Wait, why can't they drive?
Who?
My kid drives.
Because we want them to be not. We want them to be able to deal with,
All right, I know.
what's going
I
on and not
understand.
have to worry about the road and,
I
an
understand.
accident themselves, okay? So,
What's your phone number?
608
08
790
790
2360.
2360.
I don't have my phone though.
That's okay.
I don't know where I put it.
It's over by the car,
I don't know.
so we'll pick it up.
just need somebody to call and say that she's made it there okay.
And that 790-2360 is your cell phone, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Your address is N6617
Yep.
East
Yep.
Scotch Coulee?
Yep.
Okay. You work for Crown? Like Crown on the head? Like a
Yeah, Crown, Cork, and Seal.
Okay. Are you a veteran at all?
No.
You know Barbara's phone number off the top of your head?
608
608
790
790
5231.
5231.
It's in the car. It's in her purse. I think it's in her purse. Water all over his feet.
She has the same last name, Kendhammer, correct?
Yes.
Birthday is 3/4/19.
Todd?
Yeah.
Mercury. Take your seatbelt on. Doing all right?
I gotta go down by my wife. Why are we...
Get down there. We're just trying to figure out what happened. So,
Mr. Wicklund, at the end of the video, we heard was Todd being escorted by somebody else to the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know who that was?
I believe it was Sergeant Yaley.
From the sheriff's department?
Correct.
That's all the questions I have. Mr. Hurley?
Good afternoon.
Hello.
At the time, you were a deputy in training, is that correct?
That's correct.
And when you arrived, officers Catchell, Leffel, and Valencia were at the scene, is that correct?
That's correct.
The West Salem Fire and first responders and Tri-State Ambulance were still there?
I believe so, yes.
So Barbara Kendhammer was still at the scene when you arrived, is that correct?
I believe so.
You observed Todd Kendhammer to be visibly shaken, is that
Yeah.
correct?
Yes, sir.
He appeared to you to be speaking quickly and unsteady on his feet.
Yes.
He looked as though he were surprised by what had occurred.
Surprised, upset. Yes.
And you asked him, well, I should withdraw that. Did you ask him about the vehicle from which he thought he saw a pipe come, or did he volunteer that?
I don't recall exactly how the conversation went.
In any event, he wasn't able to describe to you anything other than that it was a flatbed truck. Is that correct?
That's correct.
When this tape was played, it wasn't played right from the beginning. Do you recall that one of the very first things he said on meeting you was that he thought he was going to be sick?
I don't remember if that was one of the exact first things that he had said to me.
Might
I
it,
don't recall that exactly.
if I showed you a transcript of that, might it refresh your recollection?
It may. Sure.
I'm going to direct your attention to page 3. Take a look. Does that refresh your recollection?
Yes, it does.
And did he at the very beginning tell you that he thought he was going to be sick?
Yes, he did.
And later on, you asked him, "Are you sick?" Is that correct?
That is correct.
I believe you said that he was cooperative throughout the time that he was with you?
Yes, sir.
And you noted that throughout the entire time, he just kept asking over and over for information about his wife. Is that correct?
That's correct.
At the very end, there was conversation about picking up his daughter and maybe his son. Do you recall hearing that?
Yes, sir.
And who was it that was talking to Todd about that?
I believe it was my field training officer, Deputy Jordan Stratman.
Thank you very much. No further questions.
Frankie? All right, at this time, does any juror have a question of Mr. Wicklund? See no hands. All right, Mr. Wicklund, you may step down. Thank you. Frankie?
The next witness, take off the end of the day, so
Why don't you start there? We'll take a break. You can pick a time in roughly 40 minutes or so. That would work with your questioning.
You solemnly, sincerely, and truly declare and affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this action shall be the truth, whole truth, and nothing.
could you state your name and how you're employed?
John Zimmerman, and I'm a captain with the La Crosse County, La Crosse County Sheriff's Office.
What are your current duties?
Currently captain of the Investigative Bureau.
How long have you been captain of that bureau?
Approximately 3 years.
Before that, how were you employed?
I was a sergeant in the Bureau for approximately 6 to 7 years.
How many investigators does the Sheriff's Department have?
We have 4 investigators plus myself.
September 16th of last year, were you on duty that day?
I was, yes.
Were you assigned to this case?
I was contacted by Sergeant Valencia, who is a patrol sergeant for the Sheriff's Office, and he advised that he would like me to respond to the location of the accident.
Did you go there?
I did, yes.
And while you were there, was the car still at the scene?
It was, yes.
Now, the parties have stipulated that Exhibits 17 and 18 can be admitted and shown to the jury.
Is that correct?
It is, Your Honor.
Right, they'll be received, and you may publish those.
Cap Zimmerman, the first picture is Exhibit number 17. Can you tell us what we're seeing?
That's going to be a photograph from a drone on Brigham Cooley Road looking westbound towards County M.
And Does that picture capture the scene where this happened?
It does, yes.
Where would it be on that photo?
I believe it's going to be close to the bottom of the screen, the roadway there on the left-hand side of the roadway, the markings on the road.
And this is exhibit number 18. Can you describe this?
This again is another drone picture facing northbound along County M. The Brigham Coulee is in the foreground there off to your right-hand side.
And you've driven out there the day of the incident?
I did, yes.
Were you out there in days since the incident?
Yes, I have been.
The County Highway M that on this picture is going up, either north or northwest, did you see any bumps or any construction on that road?
At the time, no, I did not. No.
Was there any sharp turns or anything that would cause a truck to lose a load in that stretch of road?
Objection, competence.
Sustained, ask a different question.
Was it a flat road?
It is, yes.
Was it a relatively straight road?
It is, yes.
There's towards the bottom of that picture on Highway M, there's something on the road near the bottom. What is that object? Right near the driveway?
A mailbox?
Where did Mr. Kendhammer indicate that the pipe hit his vehicle on Highway M?
When I arrived on scene, I was informed by Sergeant Valencia that it was pointed out to him that it was near the mailbox, at which time Sergeant Valencia pointed out to me the mailbox, which would be that one on the lower portion of the screen.
Did Sheriff's Department measure the distance from the mailbox to Bergen Coulee Road?
I believe they did, yes.
What's the distance?
Yeah, I want to say it was in the neighborhood of 300 feet.
And did also measure the distance from that intersection to where the car ended up on Bergen Coulee Road?
I was advised also that that was also approximately about 300 feet from County M to the east on Bergen Coulee.
Parties have agreed that exhibits 19 through 41 can be admitted and published to the jury.
All right, 19 through 41
Yes.
will be received and can be published to the jury.
Captain Zimmerman, this is exhibit number 19. Can you describe what this picture shows?
This picture is the photograph of the Kendhammer vehicle, which is back down a slight embankment off Bergen Coulee Road.
And is the vegetation towards the trunk of the car, is that how you saw it that day?
It is, yes.
This is exhibit number 20. Can you describe that?
This would be the same vehicle taken from the left front corner of the vehicle facing southbound, only a different angle.
Was the car, could you tell if the car would have been stuck there or would have been able to get out?
It appeared that the vehicle would have been stuck there, being the embankment which came off from Brigham Cooley down was quite steep, and that it was hung up on the mid-carriage of the car.
And do you know who that person is in the photograph with the car?
I do not.
Is that a first responder?
Fireman, I believe.
Exhibit number 21, can you describe what that shows?
Same vehicle, driver's side window halfway down, 2/3 down. We're facing a direction now of kind of east.
Have you been down into that area where the trunk of the car was?
I have been, yes.
Have you tried to measure how deep that is?
The embankment?
Yes.
So from a straight line from Brigham Cooley Road to where the back of the vehicle is, it's approximately 30 inches decline from the roadway down to the back where the vehicle is located.
This is exhibit number 22. Can you describe that?
This is going to be taken from the passenger door, which is open. Shows the passenger seat, a tennis shoe on the floorboard on the passenger side.
Can you describe what's on the passenger seat?
On the center of the seat itself was broken glass, and on the right edge of the seat, which is closest to the door, that is in the light tan color there, that's sand that is on the seat itself.
Exhibit number 23. Can you describe that?
That's again a picture of the right side of the passenger seat closest to the door, kind of looking almost straight down. And the bottom portion there is the door frame itself, and that too is sand and debris.
Immediately outside that door, was it a sandy, dirty area?
No, it was you can see some of the grass there. It was a swampy marsh grass area, quite marshy, soft.
Exhibit number 24, can you describe that?
Again, the passenger seat, showing the blood on the console of the vehicle, the broken glass near the gear shifter, and again the broken glass on the passenger seat along with the tennis shoe.
Can you describe what's in the console area?
There was some paperwork in the center console which had blood on it, and then the front portion of the console, it appears to be some type of DNR hunting license.
It's exhibit number 25.
That was the floorboard on the passenger side, and that's a tennis shoe for the right foot, which was found in that exact location.
Towards the right side of the photograph, behind the grass, was there anything there?
There's blood on the floor mat. If you see just to the left of to the right of the shoe, and also towards the toe portion of the shoe too, there's blood on the floor mat.
This is exhibit number 26. Can you describe that?
This is from the driver's side door. This shows the broken glass in numerous areas along in the gear shifter itself there. It also appears that there are some glass shards on top of the gear shifter also.
Are you familiar with the gear shifter in this vehicle?
I am, yes.
Have you owned a similar vehicle in the past?
I have, a few years older than this, yes.
Have you also looked at this car a number of times, this particular Kendhammer car?
I've looked at this car many times, and I've also looked at another same year Toyota Camry, yes.
The top of the gear shifter, I guess it's in the park position now, would that be correct?
That's correct.
Going down from the park position, what are the next letters that go down?
Would be your neutral position, and then from neutral would be your reverse position, and then the neutral position, and then the drive position.
And does a gear shifter have a piece of plastic within that gap?
It does. The chrome portion of the gear shifter, which you can see below the vinyl, as you pull the gear shifter down towards the back of the vehicle, there's a solid piece of plastic that slides along with that goes inside the console. So as you would pull the gear shifter into gear, that piece of plastic would actually slide into the console portion of the vehicle.
If the vehicle were in drive, the bottom portion of that plastic piece would be hidden?
Would be hidden, correct.
Exhibit number 27, can you describe that?
This is the mug that was found in the driver's seat, placed alongside the console with the lid of the vehicle towards the back of the car.
You said lid of vehicle, do you mean?
Or, I'm sorry, lid of the mug.
Is there something else on the floorboard to the bottom of the picture?
Just to the left of the mug is a piece of the lid to the mug that appeared to have been broken off.
And this is Exhibit 28. Can you describe that?
That was the purse that was found in the back seat on the passenger side of the Kendhammer vehicle.
Did police identify that as Barbara's purse?
They did, yes.
Was the contents of the purse, was her phone located?
The phone was located. The phone is directly next to the pink wallet or something on the right side of the purse, and then the phone, and then there's another wallet to the left of the phone.
Is that how it was at the scene?
It was. A deputy did retrieve a ID out of it prior to my arrival, but said that he placed the
Sustained.
Exhibit 29?
That was a cell phone that was found at the scene.
Do you know whose cell phone it was?
It was later identified as Todd Kendhammer's.
Do you know, this is a close-up picture, do you know where it was found?
Towards the rear of the vehicle on the passenger side.
Did the Sheriff's Department take measurements of where it was found?
They did, yes.
Exhibit number 30?
This is a photograph of the pipe that Mr. Kendhammer stated came through the windshield and struck his wife. This too was also found to the rear of the vehicle on the passenger side.
And did you collect that pipe and place it into evidence?
I did, yes.
Did you do anything before taking it into evidence to preserve it?
After the scene was scaled to diagram, it was a light rain that day, and it began to rain a little harder. I had a new tarp in my vehicle that I covered the pipe with, and come time to collect it, paper bags were placed on each end of the pipe so I could handle it properly, and it was transported to the Sheriff's Department.
Exhibit number 31, can you describe that?
That was a left tennis shoe that was found after all the scale diagramming and stuff was done. It was located, I believe, at the time that the vehicle was being removed by the wrecker. Due to the tall grass, it was not observed until then.
Exhibit number 32.
It's a picture of the right rear tire passenger side, and that suspected blood that was found to the rear of the tire, and also suspected blood on the rim of the tire.
Did you collect any samples from that blood?
I did. On the wheel itself, I took 2 buccal swabs, and they were later turned into evidence at the Sheriff's Department.
Was the grass wet at this time?
The grass was wet, yes.
Exhibit number 33, can you describe that?
Same wheel on the vehicle, and this is more towards the front of the tire itself in the grass. It was the second location where blood was observed.
How far is that from the other location that we just saw?
Maybe a foot and a half.
The others, would the other section be to the left or to the right of this photograph?
To the left.
Exhibit 34, can you describe that?
This was the blood that was found on the passenger side rear wheel of the vehicle, and that was where the samples were taken from.
Exhibit number 35.
Again, same wheel as the previous picture itself. That too was photographed, being it was suspected blood.
Exhibit number 36, can you describe that?
That would be the passenger side windshield, and I was advised that that was where the pipe had entered the vehicle and struck Mrs. Kendhammer.
There's appears to be red around the hole. Could you tell what that was when you were at the scene?
It appeared to be blood, and there was no swab that was taken from there. But at the time, it appeared that was blood there, and also on the lower portion of the hole itself.
Towards the very right side of the screen, was there something on the dash?
Almost in the 3 o'clock position on the photograph is another blue piece that we believed was from the mug that was found on the driver's side floorboard, with the first broken piece down there. And that appears to be the second piece, or another piece that was found on the dashboard.
Now, exhibit number 37, can you describe that?
Another photograph of the windshield. As you can see now, the suspected blood is to the upper right of the hole, and also just beyond where the hole was in the windshield, you can see where the windshield is bulged out, almost from the inside out. I can, yes.
This is exhibit number 10. Can you describe what this is for the jury?
This was a drone picture of the scene. We went out and used the scale diagram measurements that were taken the day of the incident and placed the objects back in their location as they were on the date of the incident.
And can you describe what specifically is shown on the picture?
The vehicle is outlined with orange surveyor's tape. From the measurements, we were able to determine the distance, the length and width of the car, which was calculated out and placed in the location. And then along with the pipe in the lower part, that was the location where the pipe was found, along with the cell phone. And as I said, that was the approximate location of the left shoe, being that we did not find the shoe the day of the incident until after the scale diagram was completed.
All right, as for the omission of Exhibit 10.
Any objection? Exhibit 10 will be received.
Were you able to collect the 911 calls that were made by Mr. Kendhammer that day?
I was, yes.
Do you know what time the calls were made?
I believe the first call was a misdial. I believe the number dialed was 191. First 911 call was at 8:05 a.m. and the second one was a call back at 8:06 a.m.
Your Honor, we've agreed that Exhibits 42 and 43. 42 is the first 911 call. 43 is the second 911 call. Could be admitted and played for the jury.
Is that correct?
It is correct.
They'll be received then, and you may publish them.
You can block the screen for a second.
What is the address of the emergency?
I'm on Bergen Corridor.
You got it. What's the address?
Right to the Bergen Corridor.
Okay, take a deep breath because I'm having a hard time understanding you.
I'm on Cooley Road in West Salem.
Okay, and what happened there?
A pipe went through and got us.
What blew?
A pipe went through the windshield.
Okay, is there an address there?
No, I'm right at the beginning. I turned off and got in the ditch.
Okay, so Bergen Cooley Road, and you turned off the what road?
That's Cooley.
That's Cooley? Okay, and now is somebody hurt?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
Hurry up, I don't want you to see it on it.
So, but Scott's Cooley and Bergen Cooley or County Emmons?
Bergen Cooley.
And County Emmons?
Go out for home house. Bergen Cooley, right at the beginning.
Okay, so right at the beginning. Hold on, let me just see if I can figure out where you are from my... Hello? County, I'm in Bergen for you, okay. Hi, Jared. This is Lisa over at 911.
Yeah.
Were you guys recontacting on that PI accident on Bergen Cooley, or do you want me to try to?
I don't think so. Were you guys going to call that Bergen Cooley number? Not at this moment, no.
Okay, I'll try recalling. I didn't want to do it if you guys were trying to get through. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.
Okay, and there was a car accident? Yes, a pipe or something came through the windshield. A pipe did. Pipe? Okay. All right. And I'm going to connect you to medical information, sir. What's your first name? Todd. Todd, okay. And they're going to help you help her until somebody gets there, okay? Hurry up. You're going to hear a dial tone in the phone ring. Just stay on the phone. Let me talk first when they pick up, okay? Mm-hmm. Hi, this is Lisa, 911. I've got Todd on the line reference that accident at Bergen Pool in County M. He said a pipe or something came through the windshield and hit his wife. His callback number is the number on the header, 608-790-2360. So he needs some help with it. Go ahead. Okay, tell me exactly what happened. They got her and she's hitting the head and in the throat, I think, in the throat or something. She's got blood coming out of her nose and mouth and it's really big and blue. How old is she? 46. Is she awake? Well, no, I can't get her to right. She talked that first a little bit. Okay, is she breathing? No, I don't think so. No. All right, sir. We do have help on the way. Stand along. How long? You're in the road. Sir, I want you to stay right where you're at, sir. Oh, yeah. I'm going to try to do something with her. Yep, we're going to... I'm going to put the phone down. Can you get her out of the vehicle, sir? I got her out. Okay, I want you to lay her flat on the ground. I got her flat. I'm not going to stay, but I don't know what to do with her. Okay, listen carefully. I'm going to tell you how to do chest compressions. Place the heel of your hand on her breastbone, right between her nipples. I know how to do that. The other hand is the top. I know how to do that. Pump the chest hard and fast. He's got blood coming out of his mouth. That's okay. Go ahead and pump it twice per second and 2 inches deep, okay? Okay. Put your hand up all the way between the pumps. I'll come back in a minute. Okay, keep going, sir. She got blood bubbling out of her mouth there. That's okay. That's okay. We're going to keep pumping the chest hard and fast, okay? I'm very doing great. You're doing just fine. Keep pumping the chest hard and fast, 2 inches deep. Keep going, sir. You're doing great. How far are they? They're coming as fast as they can, sir. I know, but how fast is that? They're coming. I know, but I can't stay there much longer like that. Yes, you can. You're doing a great job. You're doing what you can right now for her. She's breathing out her ear, too. Okay. I can hit her hard when she looks around. Okay. That's okay. We're not hurting her at all right now. Here comes somebody that's funny. I'm going to go here. Okay. Just keep going. Okay, keep going, sir. I am. Yeah, I'm coming. I am coming. They're coming. You're doing great, sir. Keep going. I gotta hang out. There we come. There we come. Stay on the phone until you get right next to her. Okay, keep doing CPR. You're doing great, sir. You're doing great. You just keep on going until we get right up next to her, and I'll take over. I'm not going to I have to show them where I am. You have to show them. They'll find you, sir. You're doing great. Okay, they're here. I see them. Okay, make sure you come right up next to her. I got them. I can't. I got to get them. Okay. We want to continue with the CPR for her. Stand ready. They went by me. Call them and tell them come back. They went past me. Okay. I'm on Bergam Cooley, Dashcam. Come on. Oh, fuck me. Oh, my God, come on. Oh, my God. Okay, so we got him turned around. Keep going. Keep going. Get him back here. Get him back here. Get him back here. Come on. Yep, they're coming. I don't see them. Which side of Bergam Cooley are you on, Todd? There's only one Bergam Cooley. No, which side of the road? You don't see my car. Try to turn around. Holy fuck. Are you hurrying? They're coming, Todd. Keep on going. The best thing we can do for her right now is to continue with that CPR. Okay, Barb. You're gonna be okay. You're gonna be okay, Barb. You're gonna be okay. Where am I? First responders are on scene. I know that. All right, sounds great. Thank you. Yep, bye. Bye-bye. Come on, come on. I gotta hurry up. Please hurry up, Dad. I got her. Up on the road. Hold on, man. Todd? How far?
Now might be a good time. You said we could take a break.
That'd be fine. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we'll have you step out. We'll take a short break, and don't talk about the case. We'll give you a heads up before you to come back in. Let me all be seated. Is the jury all ready? Okay, we'll go back on the record. We're outside the presence of the jury. Everyone's here. It's supposed to be here, and we'll bring the jury in if they're ready. All right, everybody may be seated. Okay, Mr. Grinke, you may continue with your examination of Captain Zimmerman.
Captain Zimmerman, the pipe that you saw at the scene, did you collect it and take it into evidence?
I did, yes.
At this point, I'd like to introduce the pipe as an exhibit. I think I have Captain Zimmerman take it out of the page. Captain Zimmerman, did you weigh and measure the pipe?
I did, yes.
How long was it?
53 inches long.
And how much did it weigh?
10 pounds, 5 ounces.
And did you
use
measure
the microphone when you're testifying? Otherwise, people can't hear.
The weight was how much?
10 pounds, 5 ounces.
What was the diameter of the pipe?
I can't recall right now at this time. Approximately maybe 1.5 inches in circumference.
Okay. At this time, we'd like to have the jurors be allowed to hold the pipe just to see how heavy it is.
Any comment? All right.
Put it back in the paper bag so they don't have to hold the pipe that has some material on it.
Right, the record can show that Captain Zimmerman has handed the pipe individually to each of the 15 jurors, and they're each able to hold it with their two hands, and he did enter the jury box for the back row. Go ahead, Mr. Grinke. Mr. Grinke, before you continue, did you identify the exhibit number for this pipe?
54.
Okay.
And at this point, I think we've stipulated that exhibits 38 through 41 can be admitted and shown to the jury.
That's correct. 38 through 41. Right, they'll be received. And you may publish.
Sorry, Your Honor. Captain Zimmerman, what's being shown is Exhibit 38. Can you describe that photograph?
That was the pipe that I just displayed that's prior to packaging in our evidence room.
Was that taken the same day?
It was, yes.
Exhibit 39 is now being shown. Can you describe that?
That's a picture of the end of the pipe, not where the fitting is, but the opposite end, where you can see suspected glass shards on the end of the pipe, along with the rust deposits on the end of the pipe.
And exhibit number 40 is being shown?
Same end as what we just looked at, only from not on the very end. It's a side view.
And exhibit 41?
This is the opposite end where the fitting is on the end of the pipe. Again, what's believed to be glass shards on the inside of the pipe.
Captain Zimmerman, during the investigation, did the Sheriff's Department try to identify the vehicle that Mr. Kendhammer indicated had lost the pipe?
We did, yes.
Did you specifically look for surveillance videos?
We did.
Is that common these days to try to get surveillance videos?
We use a lot of surveillance videos nowadays. A lot of people have them. All the businesses do. We rely on surveillance video quite a bit.
Where specifically did you look for surveillance videos?
On County M, first off, we had investigators canvassing the area looking for surveillance videos. And then on Highway 108, which is now C, also we canvassed the area to look for surveillance videos on properties.
Did you also look in the village of West Salem?
We did, yes.
Did you personally retrieve some surveillance video?
Surveillance video was retrieved from Wild Winds Horse Ranch on County M, about a mile south of where the accident took place. We also retrieved video from Union State Bank in West Salem, which is right at the intersection of Highway 16 and County M. And we also received video from the Quick Trip store in West Salem, right on Highway 16, just east of the 16 and M intersection. We also found video from the West Salem First Responder building, which is on Brickell Road. We were able to view the surveillance video, but not download it. They were not able to download it, so we had an investigator view that surveillance video.
That's correct.
Captain Zimmerman, can you describe for the jury what exhibit number 3 shows?
Exhibit 3 depicts the locations of the surveillance video that was retrieved or viewed. The upper left-hand corner, you'll see that will be Wild Winds Horse Ranch on County M. directly south on M, at M and Highway 16 will be Union State Bank. Just to the east of that, or to the right of Union State Bank, will be the Quick Trip store. And then from the Quick Trip store, upper right, you'll see where the West Salem First Responder building is.
Did you time how long it would take to get from the Wild Wings Horse Ranch to the Bergen Coulee area?
I did.
How long did that take?
At traveling at the legal speed limit, it took me 1 minute and 28 seconds, and it's 1.2 miles from the Wild Winds Horse Ranch to the location of where the Kendhammer vehicle was found.
In viewing the, I'll call it the Horse Ranch video, in viewing the Horse Ranch video, were you able to see vehicles on the highway?
It was a very small window that we had to look through to see County M being of shrubbery and trees and stuff. And you were able to see vehicles heading northbound and southbound, but like I said, it was a very small window we had to look at.
Were you able to locate what appeared to be the Kendhammer vehicle driving northbound?
After reviewing it with a local video studio and also on our own, we were able to possibly identify a four-door dark-colored sedan driving northbound on County M at 7:57 a.m. The time on the surveillance video is 12 hours off. It'll show 1,900 hours instead of the 7 o'clock. So that was noted, and the vehicle that we seen, I believe, was 7:57 and 13 seconds that we could observe this vehicle northbound.
Would you be looking after that point for videos traveling southbound?
We did, yes.
Given the description of the incident, would it make any sense to look beforehand at vehicles going south?
We did. We started a few minutes prior to what we observed, what we thought to be the Kendhammer vehicle, and we were specifically looking for flatbed trucks and that. And we did observe what we believe to be some pickup trucks traveling northbound and southbound on County M.
Did you see a truck traveling southbound, a pickup truck traveling southbound after you saw the Kendhammer vehicle at 7:57?
We did. I believe it was 7:58, and I'm not sure of the seconds. What appeared to be a dark-colored pickup truck traveling southbound on M.
Did it appear to be a flatbed?
It did not.
Do you know how many seconds after the Kendhammer vehicle it went by?
It would have been approximately, I want to say, maybe 30 seconds. Don't hold me to that. I'm speculating on that. I don't have my report in front of me.
At this point, we've agreed to admit Exhibit 44, which is the Wild Winds Ranch surveillance video, and show it to the jury.
Is that correct? Mr. Hurley?
Yes, Your Honor, that's correct.
Item 44 will be received. You can publish. For the record, number 3 is received and was already published.
For the record, we're not going to show the whole video. We're going to show the important part. Oh, I'm sorry. I'll take that back. We're going to start it here. we start playing it, Captain Zimmerman, can you just orient the jury to where they should be looking and what you can really see in this video?
Could I step up to the screen?
If you need to, well, I have a laser pointer, that might be easier.
There's a laser pointer.
Perfect.
It's laser pointer.
The small window, as I mentioned, is going to be right here. We have this pine tree in the middle. This was the only window we had to observe County M.
We can start the video. So he said 1957, which would be in a couple seconds. Eventually you'll see something going left to right on the screen.
Yes. That was the vehicle, if you've just seen it pass from left to right. And we slowed this down to frame by frame where we could somewhat tell that it was a four-door sedan.
And while you were speaking, there was a vehicle that went south.
Correct. Another vehicle just went northbound.
Would the northbound vehicles concern you at this stage?
No, just the southbound.
There was another one went southbound right there.
Can we back that up just a little bit?
Can you back it up to 9:58:10 maybe?
I believe that would have been the pickup truck without reviewing my report. That was southbound. That was what appeared to be a large white panel truck that was southbound.
And that was at 9:58:40 approximately. More larger vehicles that just went southbound. Now, you were able to view this on high definition and went frame by frame. Took you a while to do that?
It did, yes.
Were you able to identify anything that looked like a flatbed truck?
We were not.
Were you able to look at other surveillance video to try to see what the vehicles you saw here, where they might have gone, say Bank or Quick Trip?
The Union State Bank surveillance video that we obtained covers the intersection of 16 and M. It took the times that we had seen the southbound vehicles from here, and then we took the Union State Bank surveillance video and compared to see if we had missed something here or possibly that if we observed a flatbed on the Union State Bank video.
Could you tell anything from this video about the make, model, or year of the vehicles?
No, we could not.
Um,
Might I ask you a question? 17 first year. This is Exhibit 17. This is one of the drone photos. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And can we see that mailbox in this?
Yes, you can.
Can you use the pointer to point that out?
Be right there.
Okay. And this morning, when the jury was out at the site, there had been an orange cone set near there. Is that correct?
Yes, I believe your orange cone was set on the opposite, side
of
the roadway. Yes.
Correct. And you said that it wasn't Todd Kendhammer who told you that that was where his car was struck by the pipe, but rather Sergeant Valencia telling you that that was what Todd Kendhammer said. Is that correct?
That's correct. That was the information that was relayed to me.
And so if Sergeant Valencia got it wrong, then that cone was in the wrong place today, correct?
There were other deputies that also were... I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Only Todd Kendhammer would know the place where it was
Correct.
struck, correct?
Correct.
So if Sergeant Valencia misinterpreted what he said, then that cone today was in the wrong place, correct?
If he misinterpreted it, yes.
On what date was this drone photograph taken?
I want to say that was taken on maybe the 28th of September. I'm not positive on that.
Okay, but it certainly wasn't the day of the occurrence.
It was not, no.
And if it were the 28th of September, we'd be talking about almost 2 weeks later, correct?
Correct.
Now, on the 28th, we see still crops in the field, is that correct?
I believe so, yes.
Now, unlike today where we saw a vacant plowed field.
Correct.
And we see grass in the berm considerably taller than the lack of grass that existed today, is that correct?
That's correct.
And it wasn't raining on this day, is that correct?
On this day, no, it was not.
At what time of the day was this taken?
I want to say mid to late morning.
Mid to late morning, whereas the accident occurred in the around 8 o'clock or thereabouts.
Correct.
Correct?
Correct.
Now, if we might put up the next. Here you talked about the road, and this is a shot from the drone showing the intersection of M and Bergam Cooley looking from south on the bottom to north at the top. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And if one continues up Highway M, eventually one finds a quarry up there. Is that correct?
Once you travel up a hill, yes, and there's a quarry at the top of the hill.
Might go to the Yes. Now here we have Exhibit 19, which shows fire personnel along with the Kendhammer vehicle at the scene on Bergam Cooley Road, correct?
Correct.
And we do not see Barbara Kendhammer near the passenger door. So at the time this photograph was taken, had she left the scene in the emergency vehicle?
Yes, she had.
what time was this photograph taken?
I am not sure. This photograph was taken by Deputy Ketchell of the Sheriff's Office.
Okay. At what time did you arrive at the scene?
I arrived, I believe, about 8:57 a.m.
So almost an hour after the occurrence took place.
Correct.
And at the time that you arrived there, was Barbara Kendhammer still at the scene?
She was not, no.
She was not. So whatever daylight exists in this picture may be different than at approximately 8 o'clock in the morning, correct?
Not necessarily, no. It was a cloudy day.
It was a cloudy and overcast day, correct?
Correct, yep.
And it was not daylight savings time yet,
Correct.
So we didn't have the fallback.
Right.
So if we can go to the next picture, please. This would be Exhibit 20. That purple stuff in front of the left front wheel,
Yes.
is that just some detritus from first responders?
It's a latex glove.
A
Yes.
latex glove.
Yep.
And the white thing in the roadway there?
Probably something from the medical equipment that the EMS utilized.
Now, at the time that this photograph taken, were the headlights on?
I'm not sure if they are on or not.
At the time this photograph was taken, was the car in park?
I believe so, yes.
Did there come a time when the car was removed from the scene?
Yes.
And who removed the car from the scene?
A towing company from West Salem.
Okay, were you present for that?
I was, yes.
And did you stand back while they removed it?
I did.
And when one removes a car from the scene, one has to take the car out of park and put it in neutral. Is that correct?
They used a system on the front wheels. It's a front wheel drive. So once they lifted the front wheels up, they were able to pull it out without putting it in
So
neutral.
it was not put into neutral.
Correct.
We go to the next photograph. Here we can see the lights are still on the vehicle. Is that correct?
That's correct.
We go to Exhibit 26, please. This is Exhibit 26, a photograph about which you testified earlier, correct?
It is, yes.
And here we see the shift, the gear shift, in park position, correct?
That's correct.
Now, right to the right and below the park position is reverse, correct?
Yes.
I'm going to have to go up here to do this. Here you explained there was a piece of plastic. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
And so if I were to pull the gear shift down all the way to drive, that piece of plastic would follow. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And if similarly, if I'm in drive and I push it up, the piece of plastic follows, correct?
Would move forward, correct.
Would move forward.
Yes.
Here we see it in the park position, and there is glass on that piece of plastic. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Now, if the car was in the park position and one loosed glass from the windshield, it could fall because the car was tilted onto that piece of plastic. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, could you explain that a little better, please?
Well, if the car's in the park position and it's on an incline,
Okay.
and one looses glass from the windshield after it's in park position, that glass could tumble onto that piece of plastic that is in the gear shift. Is that correct?
That could, yes, if somehow that the glass was jarred by some way
Right.
on the
And if
windshield.
someone tried to pull that out at first, pull a pipe out of the windshield at first into the car, and then from outside the car, that could loose glass into the interior, couldn't it?
That could, yes.
Go to exhibit 34. Here we see the pipe on exhibit 30 in the field at the scene, correct?
That's correct.
And you were present when Mr. Wicklund testified this morning about the rain and the fact that it had been raining some time that morning, correct?
That's correct, yes.
And this grass was wet, is that correct?
Yes.
And in fact, where the car was on the incline in the berm, it was not only wet but somewhat muddy, is that correct?
Soft, yeah, there was enough vegetation, but where you would not get muddy, but it was soft, yes.
Yeah. And by the time you got to the scene, that pipe had been out there for about an hour, is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
And that pipe had been in the grass in the rain, is that correct?
A light rain, yes.
And that's one of the reasons that you, at some point, put a tarp over it.
That's correct.
At what point was that?
It was shortly after I arrived. The rain increased, so I covered the pipe up at that time. Excuse me, at that time.
Did you cover the windshield up?
I did not, no.
And your concern for covering the pipe is that rain, it's possible for rain to wash off trace evidence, for example.
Correct, yes.
If we could go please to exhibit 46. Yes. Captain, this is a photograph you identified as a photograph of the puncture in the windshield, which would be more toward the center of the photograph. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And then the outward bulge, which in this photograph appears to be above that, correct?
Up there, yes.
In real life, actually, the bulge is to the left or the bulge is to the right and the puncture is to the left.
That's correct.
When one is
facing the front of the vehicle.
facing the front of the
Yes.
vehicle, correct?
Yes.
Now, you see that yellow thing on the bottom right corner?
That there?
Yes.
Mhm.
That appears to be a piece of vegetation, is that correct?
It does, yes.
And again, I'm going to have to go up. If we look here, 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 we see two pieces of glass on the outside of the windshield. Is that correct?
I believe so, yes.
And some of those pieces of glass on the outside of the windshield appear to be pink. Is that correct?
They do, yes.
When were you present at the scene when the vehicle was, you said you were, when it was removed from the berm, is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
And how was it transported thereafter?
With a conventional tow truck.
So it was not an enclosed truck, is that
It
correct?
was not, correct.
And was the car lifted with a chain from the front axle?
No, they placed brackets in front and behind the front wheels and then lifted.
And then lifted it.
Correct.
And it rolled on its rear tires. Is
That's
that
correct.
And from where was it, from the scene to where was it transported?
The south side of La Crosse to our secure storage.
How far away is it from the scene of the accident?
12, 14 miles.
And what route does one take to get there?
I am not sure what route. We had a deputy accompany the tow truck down there. I'm not sure which route they took.
And because of that, it's possible that some of that glass and even the pink glass that's on the exterior of the windshield could have been shaken off. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
And then subsequent to taking it to the sheriff's department, it was eventually transported to the crime lab in Madison. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
And how was it transported to the crime lab in Madison?
It was transported down there by the same tow company, but it was placed in a enclosed car hauler trailer.
And that trip was an approximately 3-hour trip if one traveled the speed limit, correct?
Correct.
At the scene, we saw from the pictures that there was that Bubba Cup, Barbara Kendhammer's purse, and a shoe in the automobile, correct?
That's correct.
Did those remain in the automobile when it was transported from the scene to the sheriff's department?
They did, yes.
And did it remain in the automobile when it was transported from the sheriff's department to the crime lab?
Yes.
And was any effort made to keep those items in the same position within the car as they were at the scene?
If you're asking if we secured the items or not, no, we did not.
Okay, so there was a lot of potential for them to be jostled around. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And we saw photographs that were introduced through your testimony today of, for example, some shards of glass on the seat, on the dashboard, and some dirt or sand, I believe you identified it as, within the car. Similarly, none of those items were secured in any fashion. Is that correct?
They were not, no.
So all of them had the potential to be moved around during the transportation.
Correct.
And that's because this isn't television, and we don't live in a perfect world, correct?
That's correct.
You said that with respect to the automobile, you took buckle swabs from the right rear tire, correct?
That's correct.
Now, I don't know if the jury knows what a buckle swab is. It's a Q-tip, isn't it?
It's a glorified Q-tip, yes.
And one uses it to remove potentially trace evidence from an item.
That's correct.
And then one places that buckle swab in a container, correct?
Once it's dried, yes.
Yeah. And then it can be analyzed later. Is that
Correct.
correct? So you did that from the right rear tire, but I think you said you didn't do that from the windshield. Is that correct?
That's correct.
How come?
At the time, in the weather conditions, at the time the wrecker got there, as I said, it started to rain a little heavier. That's why I covered the pipe up with a tarp. The rain kind of let off a little bit. My main concern was the wrecker towing the vehicle with the front wheels off the ground, the back wheels on the roadway, that it would create water splash and it would possibly wash that off. That's why I wanted to preserve that.
Was there time to take buckle swabs from the shards of glass on the windshield?
There was, yes.
If you can, I'd like for us to look at Exhibit 54 here, the pipe. And
You talking about this exhibit?
yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Is it okay if I touch the paper out here? I'm going to hand it to you. And then You can have it there by microphone, and I'll go back to my post.
Okay.
Two ends to this pipe, correct?
That's correct.
At the end that the jury can see right now, where the paper has been removed, there is on the very end what would be called a thread. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And just below that, and it appears to be about an inch below it, would be a nut or flange of some kind. Is that correct?
It appears to me that this threaded part here is a fitting that went on the main pipe, yes.
I just want to make sure we're talking about
Sure,
the same thing.
sure.
This part right here would be the thread, correct?
That's correct.
And below this extended portion is also a little bit of thread. Is that
That's
correct?
correct.
And so what we have right here is a six-sided piece of metal.
That's correct.
So let's decide on a term we can use so everybody's on the same page. What do you want to call it?
I called it a fitting, being that the diameter of this pipe is smaller than the diameter of this. So I believe that this pipe goes inside this fitting.
Okay, so we'll call it a fitting.
Okay.
Cool. The other end doesn't have a fitting like that, correct?
That's correct.
And the other end doesn't have a thread, correct?
I don't believe so, no. Could I pull it out and look?
Sure.
It does have threads on it.
It does.
Yes.
You're absolutely correct. It has a lot of rusted crud, too.
Correct.
Okay. Looks like an old pipe, is that correct?
That's correct.
Looks like an old plumbing pipe.
Correct.
It's not one we'd use if we were building a house, correct?
No.
Now, you said there came, and we're done with it. Do you want me to?
No, that's fine.
Okay. You said that there came a time when you looked for surveillance video.
Correct.
When was that?
Immediately after our investigator cleared the hospital, he started searching for surveillance video.
So that very day?
Correct.
You said that you drove the distance between Wildwinds, where a video had been secured, to Burgham Cooley Road, and you found it to be a minute and how long?
I believe a minute, 28 seconds.
And I think you said it was a minute and 28 seconds if one drove the speed limit.
That's right. That's correct.
And what's the speed limit?
55 through there.
So if one was going slower, it would take longer, correct?
Correct.
And if one was like my partner, Mr. Bednarik, and went a whole lot faster, it would take less time, correct?
Correct.
Now, this video that we saw from Wildwinds, okay, here we are. This is Exhibit 44, so the record knows what we're talking about.
Okay.
As we look at this screen, we have a tiny, tiny stretch of road that we can see, and it is in part obscured by what appears to be a fir tree.
That's correct.
And you, like me, had enough difficulty with this that you went to somebody to try to slow it down for you, correct?
That's correct, yes.
And the minute you try to get a higher resolution, things become a little more difficult, doesn't it?
That's correct.
The bigger you try to make the picture, the less resolution you get, correct?
Correct.
So we can slow it down, perhaps, but in slowing it down, to keep resolution, we don't really get to see the picture much larger, correct?
That's correct, yes.
So you have to look at it over and over and over again, correct?
Yes.
And you did, correct?
Yes, sir.
And I can tell you I know exactly what that feels like. And people could differ about what they saw, correct?
Correct. People perceive things different, yes.
Right. So at $7:57:13. Now, let me talk about this time before we go further. When you got the Wild Winds video, if we look at it, it's going to say 1957:13, correct?
That's correct.
And 1957:13 in military time would be 7:57:13 p.m., correct?
That's correct.
And we know what time of year it is, and we can see it's daylight on Exhibit 44, so we know this is wrong, correct?
That's correct, yes.
And at some point, you were able to determine that the clock on this was 12 hours off.
We were advised by the proprietor of Wild Winds Ranch that it was 12 hours off.
So it's his telling you that leads you to that conclusion, correct?
That's correct.
Did you do anything independent to determine that it was 12 hours off?
It would virtually be kind of hard to do, to prove that it was 12 hours off.
Okay. So at the end of the day, if it's 12 hours off, we have to rely on what the guy at Wild Winds told you, correct?
That's correct.
Now, there's 12:57 and 12:57. That is, I've got a clock at home, I've got a phone, I've got a tablet. A couple of those run off the internet, and I get different times all the time. And I have a cable box that gives me a fourth version. You ever experienced that?
Yes.
So just because something says it's 1957 or 7:57 doesn't mean it actually is. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Now, there's a universal standard from which all is measured. Is that correct?
Yes.
And that's Greenwich Mean Time, correct?
Correct.
Was there any effort to determine how this video fit with the timer on this video fit with Greenwich Mean Time?
When we obtained this, when this surveillance video was downloaded, we used our clock on our cell phone, which should be accurate, and it was exactly 12 hours off. That's how we backed up the proprietor's statement.
I've got Samsung tablet and an Apple phone, okay? What time does my Apple phone say?
4:11,
What time does my Samsung phone say?
16:09.
Okay. Both presumably getting this from satellite, correct?
Correct.
We've got a 2-minute difference between them, is that correct?
That's correct.
So we really can't depend, and Samsung runs on Google, correct?
Yes.
So we've got a 2-minute difference between Apple and Google, correct?
Correct.
How do we know which is right? You got to go to Greenwich Mean Time, don't you?
That's right.
Did you?
I don't believe we did on the surveillance video, no.
did you check Google against Greenwich Mean Time when you were looking at the Google map printout of where Barbara and Todd Kendhammer's phones were that morning?
That was done by the analyst at the Department of Justice, and I believe that was checked, yes.
You thought that at 7:57:13 a.m. on Exhibit 44, you saw a car go by that was probably Todd Kendhammer's car, correct?
A four-door, dark-colored sedan, yes.
Right. Not a good enough view to be able to tell what make or model.
Correct.
At 7:57:23, there's a dark-colored southbound vehicle. Is that correct?
I believe so. I would have to refer to my report where I've had it.
You thought, you didn't think it was a flatbed, but someone else looking at this might differ with you. Is that correct?
Sustained.
At 7:58:06, there's a northbound vehicle, and it looked like a white cab with a makeshift flatbed with rails, did it not?
Again, I would have to refer to my report to be totally
I think
exact.
you testified that northbound vehicles didn't concern you, correct?
They did. We were, when we slowed the video down, we were getting a description of northbound and southbound.
Right, but I think your words were...
We were more concerned about.
I think your words were, they didn't concern me. Did I misunderstand?
Not as much as the southbound, correct.
But a northbound vehicle also has the potential to pass. Is that correct?
Yes.
And when a northbound vehicle passes, it goes into the other lane. Is that correct? Does it properly?
That's correct.
And so a northbound vehicle that looked like a makeshift flatbed would be of interest, would it not?
If the initial information we received was that the vehicle was passing, then it would, correct.
Well, the initial information was, I'm not sure, I think it was a truck or a trailer, correct?
Which Mr. Kendhammer met, correct.
I have no further questions.
Mr. Grinke, any redirect?
Yes. First, Captain Zimmerman, regarding this video of Wild Winds Ranch, how much time before and after what you believe to be 8 o'clock did you look at this video?
I would speculate probably 10 minutes before and 20 minutes after, 15, 20. I'm not sure if I logged all that in my report.
You were asked a question about if you ever used anything to corroborate the time on this video, and at first you said no, but then you said you used a cell phone.
We did, just to determine that it was 12 hours off. We were advised by the proprietor of the ranch.
Okay. So the proprietor said it was 12 hours off. You also checked your cell phone, and it was 12 hours off?
Correct.
12 hours to the second, or just 12 hours?
Just 12 hours to the minute, not the second.
Okay. Did you also view the video? Did you see any other traffic that you would recognize, squad cars or first responders or anything else?
We did. You could observe the West Salem first responders traveling northbound and pass this surveillance camera, along with the West Salem officer also, and the fire trucks after him.
The West Salem officer, meaning Officer Levelholtz, said
Correct. Yes.
That would confirm that it's at least in the right ballpark of around 8 in the morning of this date.
Very much so, yes.
Was there anything else that you used other than those couple things we mentioned?
I'm sorry.
For checking the time of the video, that it was 12 hours off.
That was it. We verified it through what we call our CAD system, where we can get a printout of when everybody was dispatched to an approximate time that they would have gone by here and when they called location. And it all was very close, yes.
How the vehicle was transported to the crime lab, you said you didn't make any efforts to secure the items inside the vehicle. Why would you not do that?
We paid a search warrant for the vehicle prior to it going to the state crime laboratory. And we felt that the less we disturbed, the better while it was transported down there, to let them collect it all. We knew it was secure and it wasn't going to go anywhere. So,
in a crime scene, do you try to limit the number of people that enter a crime scene?
We do, yes.
Why is that?
Just for contamination purposes on a crime scene. It depends on the severity of the scene itself. But the less people that do enter a crime scene, the less that we have to record. So,
while you were present at the scene, did you control who touched the car or went into the car or went near the car?
I was advised that Deputy Catchall did photograph the car prior to my arrival, and that he had entered the car and obtained the identification for Barbara Kendhammer out of her purse, and that he opened the doors and took the photographs he did at the scene.
Was anybody else allowed inside the car?
I did enter the car prior to it being removed when the wrecker arrived, and I turned the ignition on to roll up the driver's side window, being it was down a third or two-thirds of the way.
So you touched the key that was in the vehicle?
I did, yes.
You must have also touched the control for the window?
I did, yes.
Did you touch anything else in the car?
No.
Did you have to sit in the car to do that?
I did not.
Did anybody go into the trunk of the vehicle?
Nobody did, no.
That's all the redirect I have, Your Honor.
Anything else?
No, Your Honor.
At this time, does any juror have any question of Captain Zimmerman? I don't see any hands. Hey, Captain Zimmerman, you may step down. We'll take care of the pipe in a short bit. I assume you have no real short witnesses, right?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. We'll adjourn for today then. That'll conclude the testimony. When you go home tonight, remember not to talk about the case. Probably shouldn't even think about the case. And we'll see you back here tomorrow morning, Wednesday. Try to be to the jury assembly room somewhere around 8:15 or so. We'll try to get going about 8:30 back up here and have a full day of testimony. So you're all excused. Leave your notes in the jury room. They'll be secured for tonight. And I'll see you tomorrow morning.